Jon Bernthal's Punisher joins Spider-Man Brand New Day. Marvel adds a possible fourth film for 2028 and seemingly confirms Jake Schreier for X-Men. Clayface eyes an R rating and Elio's disastrous debut. All that and more right after this. Welcome to Multiverse News, your source for information about all your favorite fictional universes. My name's Matthew Carroll, and with me on our illustrious panel today, we have J. Scotty St. Clair. What's happening, J. Scotty?
Step right up, step right up. We got your Marvel, we got your DC, we got your Disney. We got all the ways here.
That's right. And Jay Sisson.
Hey, it's a heat wave, and we're serving up some hot Marvel, DC, whatever you came to Multiverse News for. We're serving up all the hot stories.
That's right. Hot stories and hotter hosts right here.
That's right.
And Haley Hobbs, what's going on?
Heat wave. Hot news tonight.
I love it. We're going to try to keep tonight's episode a little tighter than normal because Ironheart drops in 1 hour from right now when we're starting this episode. So if we're moving a little quicker than we normally move, forgive us. We want to see some Riri Williams tonight. And I'm going to be back here on our live stream podcasting it an hour after, or 2 hours from now. So if you're in the live stream now, join us in 2 hours. And if you're not, check that podcast out on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. But first, let's talk about our 5-star review for this week. John B. Knight says, best podcast to listen to while working through the day. Thank you so much, John B.
If only it was 8 hours long.
That's right. we gotta.
I mean, we can experiment. Yeah.
Wrap it up. We're keeping this one short, guys.
We have noticed that we do better numbers on the longer episodes. So
it's true.
Maybe we should start like a real Joe Rogan style Multiverse News, like just
who knows
3 or 4 hours.
Who knows what our ceiling could be?
Yeah, for sure.
All
right, well, let's dive into our first story. It's a big week for Marvel news. First up, Jon Bernthal has joined the cast of Spider-Man Brand New Day as his take on the Punisher makes the transition from Marvel television to the big screen. He joins newcomer Sadie Sink alongside Zendaya and Jacob Batalon, who were also confirmed to be returning as MJ and Ned, respectively. They're not reversing roles or anything. Elsewhere, on Wednesday, Disney announced that Marvel Studios is scheduled to release an untitled film slated for December 15th, 2028, which, if holds true with all of their other releases, would be the studio's 4th theatrical offering for that year. In Variety's article on said possible 4th 2028 Marvel Studios film, the writers suggested that Thunderbolts director Jake Schreier has gone from being in talks to officially tapped as the director for the upcoming X-Men film. Lots of Marvel news on the week of the Ironheart premiere. Do we here contain as many multitudes as Marvel?
Sorry, I'm still basking from the afterglow of Daredevil Born Again and the Punisher's appearance in there.
It took me a minute to realize what you were doing. I got there, but that impression didn't get me there right away.
That was a jump scare.
Yeah. Nobody delivers a multiple syllable grunt like Jon Bernthal does, so I'm looking forward to that. And I can't help but think, one of our favorite things coming off of Daredevil is how Frank affectionately refers to Daredevil as Red. Will he do the same for Spider-Man, or is he going to have to modify that like red and blue or something like that? Or will he be confused with Captain America potentially? He might be.
I'm guessing Kid. I think you call him Kid.
Oh, okay. Kid. Okay. I like that. I was thinking maybe like Webhead or something like that. One of his other more like derogatory kind of nicknames there. But yeah, I really like this news. I think it makes a lot of sense with everything that we've been discussing about Brand New Day and our hopes and expectations that it might be a little bit more street level, especially after the delay of Doomsday and the movie being positioned as kind of a precursor to Doomsday. So I look at this news and I've noticed a lot of other even pretty big outlets and stuff like that. They're kind of taking this as confirmation for some previous rumors and cast members that we've speculated about, like Hulk specifically. I've seen multiple outlets saying, okay, because we got Punisher, this retroactively means the Hulk thing was true too. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's the case. I haven't seen anything official as far as that goes. But the aspect that I do kind of like about it, I'm trying to, measure my own expectations and not broadcast or forecast a movie in my mind that's never going to be. But I look at The Punisher. I look at the fact that the symbiote has been speculated to potentially be a part of this film. And then I look at, we've also talked about Mr. Negative potentially being an antagonist for this film. And I really kind of like, it might be surface level and just kind of, aesthetically, the theme there, that it's all black and white. But I kind of like that. And if they can kind of embrace the fact that all of these characters are kind of relishing or vacillating between the black and white, and some are taking it to more extremes, with Frank obviously representing the worst of the worst in terms of vigilante, and Spider-Man potentially striving to be something better, but the symbiote dragging him towards more violent tendencies. So I think this is kind of cool, and it could be in stark contrast to what we've seen with the previous mentors that have popped up in Spider-Man films. And this is kind of like the launch to a new trilogy for Spider-Man, at least we're hoping. So what we saw with Iron Man, I think you saw it a little bit less with like Nick Fury and Doctor Strange. Slowly but surely, those mentors kind of became a little bit of the antithesis to a mentor in some ways. And I think Punisher could potentially be like the culmination of that. He might be a real antagonist to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, even though we know behind the scenes Jon Bernthal and Tom Holland have got along famously, like they really like each other. So I do look forward to the on-screen chemistry for that alone. To touch on the fourth theatrical film that we might be getting for 2028, I just got to say, I do think that is kind of a byproduct and one of the negatives of like the 24-hour news cycle that we live in. We have to talk about it every time Marvel says we're taking this off, we're putting this on, we're moving down to 2 movies a year, we're 3 movies a year. And it's just kind of like, sometimes if you say less, it makes you seem better set up and that you had a better plan going forward. Right now, it seems like a pretty wishy-washy, going back and forth. They're saying one thing, doing another. 2028 is still a ways off, so we'll see if it stays on the slate.
Yeah, I got to wonder about Jon Bernthal's role in this movie because, he's established himself as mainly a television actor up to this point, with Walking Dead and The Bear and The Punisher, and then he's making the jump to the big screen, and we've seen that, traditionally the Disney Plus characters don't transition sometimes seamlessly to the big screen, right? Like we think about like Captain America Brave New World, you think about like Thunderbolts, think about like the Marvels, like sometimes you kind of take these characters that are built up over here and you move them over here, and a lot of people in the theater are kind of just like, who's that guy, instead of really tracking who the person is. So I do wonder, again, what that kind of translates to whenever you're talking about him in this role. Are we talking like a much smaller role, kind of like, think about how Matt Murdock made a very brief appearance in the last Spider-Man movie, like something like that? Or are we talking some type of much bigger role or a scene or something like that they both share together, maybe like a fight scene or something like that? So we'll probably get more clarity on that as we get a little bit closer. But that's my main question, is what type of involvement are we talking about with the Punisher? But I think it is exciting news. I mean, we're starting to see a little bit more of a meshing of the universes from Disney Plus. We know that the Punisher is going to have a straight to Disney Plus movie. So you've got that kind of going on. You've got more to come from the character other than just kind of cameoing in movies or shows or whatever, but getting their own kind of corner to work. And I think that's an exciting part of this too. The Jake Schreier thing I want to touch on real quick too, because he has still not officially been confirmed. Like we talked a couple weeks ago about the rumors were going, the trades were running with it. It was not just leakers and scoopers. It was the actual trades were saying that Marvel was eyeing Jake Schreier for this thing. I think a lot of that had to do with Thunderbolts, like, hey, it's in its second weekend and this guy's going to go direct X-Men, so you should probably go see it, that type of thing. But then also where this news started to take off this week was really from Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler was asked while promoting Ironheart, you going to do X-Men? You think about doing X-Men? Like, what do you think about that? And he immediately was just kind of turned to like, I think Jake Schreier's doing that. Like, I think there's another person already in line for that. So, does he know something we don't? Probably not. He's probably just heard the same chatter that we've all heard from the trades, and that's kind of where that came from, and maybe didn't want to step on anybody's toes and be like, yeah, call me, Marvel, I'll do X-Men. So we still don't officially have a director for X-Men, but it does seem to be going that way. We seem to be kind of pointing towards Jake Schreier as being that. And, when you're looking at that movie, you got to wonder, is that X-Men? Is that Black Panther 3? These are kind of the two that we're talking about being in development. I know people want to go to Shang-Chi 2 and Doctor Strange 3 and all this, but those have not been announced. There's no directors. As far as we know, there's no active scripts for those. There's no casting for those. Whereas Black Panther 3 and X-Men, we're talking about directors. We're talking about Denzel. We're talking about other people being involved. So there's a lot of possibilities for that date, for sure.
I don't have a lot to add. You guys covered it ever so thoroughly, but I think the big news is Jon Bernthal in Spider-Man, and I kind of can envision that movie pulling a little more from some of the shows that are starting to come out, because I think that if we're getting street level Spidey, it would be fun to see more of the Cabal and stuff like that he has to battle. But yeah, I don't know. It's an exciting time. I hope that Jake Schreier does get to do the X-Men. I know we had that a few weeks ago, and some people in our Spotify comments wanted some other directors, and it's like, I hear you, but I think when you are put in the waters by Marvel to be tested, and Thunderbolts, though it wasn't the quote box office success they really wanted, it was a success with fans, and that's what they need, and that's the momentum they want, especially going into something as big as X-Men. So here's hoping.
Yeah. You guys have said a lot on this, and I don't have too much to add, partially because I covered it a lot on Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast yesterday, so check out my thoughts there. But I love the Jon Bernthal coming in as Punisher, partially because we've talked about this sort of spectrum on all these shows of like Kingpin to Punisher to Daredevil, this sort of like, darkness versus light versus willingness to go too far versus having morals and whether that holds you back. The whole I when I put them down, they stay down thing. I love that sort of dichotomy, but like Spider-Man is one more step away. Like you got Daredevil has a lot of darkness in him just naturally. There's like that, he has that dark want toward violence. Spider-Man isn't that guy. Spider-Man is a guy trying to save people, at least up till now. And he fights because he has to. And he fights to save people. He fights to even save his enemies. He fights to save all the multiversal enemies even. So like seeing Jon Bernthal, I could really see him, like you said, Jay, being an antagonist. Like, and it would be awesome to see a character we know and like, but when put up against Spider-Man, he's clearly the bad guy. Like Spider-Man, anyway. To Spider-Man, he's clearly this murderous guy who's got to be stopped. And I think that just sounds like a lot of fun. The other thing is the 2028 movie is interesting because it's another December drop, and we've got 2 Avengers movies dropping in December. So it seems like Marvel is trying to lay claim to December. Like that's going to be a new thing they're trying, at least for 2 years. And what does that mean? I feel like that means, they've always made May, all of the Avengers movies have dropped in May, and that's always been their big drop time. They're scooching that to December, and I wonder why. I wonder if they think they're seeing some research that shows that's going to be big, and if that's the case, what is that? It may mean that 2028 December drop is going to be their big movie for that year, and I think it's possibly X-Men. There have been people speculating it could be Secret Wars Part 2. Like maybe now that they're getting into the writing process, they're wanting to split it up. I could see all kinds of ways that could go, and I'm excited to see them establish something and be like, this is our new thing. We're calling our shot. Every December, you're getting something big from us. At least for 3 years. We'll see what happens.
I do have to address when you were comparing the degrees to which, Spider-Man is willing to go versus someone like Daredevil versus someone like Punisher. There is a strong likelihood that Charlie Cox's Daredevil could show up in the movie with the inclusion of Punisher here. So I just have to put it out there. I kind of chuckled because I envisioned a scene where you have Daredevil chastising Frank for going too far, and then in turn Spider-Man chastises Matt for going too far. He's like, I'm pretty sure that dude's concussed. Like I can hear it now, and it's pretty good.
Yeah. And Spider-Man, when he hurts people, he apologizes. He's like, "Oh, sorry,
right,
I didn't mean to do something actually violent." I totally think that could be a lot of fun. And I think you're right. It totally could mean that this is going to bring in more Defenders, or. There's also, and we talked about this in the MCU Gas, so I won't rehash it too much, but like, there's also the idea of what is happening in Born Again right now with Fisk as mayor and the city on lockdown, and what does that mean if Punisher is transitioning from his own series into Daredevil Born Again Season 2 and then into a Spider-Man movie coming out later that year? That's a lot of Punisher that year, and it's going to really, I wonder how much that through line will exist, and I'm excited. All right, moving on to our next story. Fresh details on the recently cast Clayface film from DC Studios co-head James Gunn. He said the film would be R-rated during his appearance on the DC Studios Showcase official podcast. He says, "It's just a great horror movie. That is a great, smart, fun horror movie, which is a genre that I happen to love, which is body horror." He said, continuing with, "It's rated R." And then he kind of pauses. "It's not anything now because the MPA has to watch it, but it's most likely rated R. It's pretty intense." In other DC news, box office tracking for Superman via the National Research Group has the film projected to open between $125 and $145 million domestically, with more conservative estimates ranging between $90 and $125 million. The fledgling DCU certainly seems to be living up to its gods and monsters thematic moniker. Will that be the case when it comes to the reception and performance of these foundational flicks?
Well, we have speculated that Clayface would be R-rated, and so now we have James Gunn confirming that. And I think when we talked about it before, we said it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense for Clayface to be a horror movie. It's about a tragedy, and there's horror in the ethos of the character of Clayface, and there's horror, like James Gunn says, there's the body horror, and there's the horror of the monster that he becomes. So I'm really, honestly, very excited for the Clayface movie, and we know, too, we've got Mike Flanagan pitching and writing the film, and so there's just this perfect marriage of, I think Flanagan's stuff tends to really reach into the heart of the horror, you know what I mean? And so I think that it's a perfect marriage. So I'm really, really excited about this, and I wasn't here when we talked about the actor who was cast, but he wasn't one of the ones I picked. I can't believe they didn't ask me. But I think he's got the right, like, features for it. He can be molded. No clay puns intended. He can be molded into Clayface. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this film. Superman box office, when the Fantastic Four tickets went on sale, everything crashed. And I don't remember that happening the day the Superman tickets went on sale, which I thought was very interesting. Like, it's not a knock at Superman, but I found it fascinating, honestly, because I would have thought the same thing would happen that day, because Superman is the most famous DC superhero. He's the first superhero. And so I wonder if there's a generational change with the character of Superman, that it's for an older, like millennials and Gen X, and it's for like an older generation of comic book fans, and maybe this new wave of fans of superhero movies just haven't quite had something Superman for them to latch on to. So if it opens to a modest box office opening, I could see word of mouth just really shooting it into the air, one might say.
Up and away, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, if you're sitting at if we're going with the higher one, if we're saying, like, let's just split the difference and say 130 or something like that, that's a really good opening box office domestically. It's very solid compared to other superhero movies. If you want a reference point, Deadpool and Wolverine last summer made about a little over $200 million at the domestic box office in its opening weekend, and it went on to surpass, $1 billion. So if you kind of use that as a reference point, like, it wouldn't be quite to those heights, but it would definitely be a very, very solid opening weekend for Superman. I tend to kind of think it'll be on that higher end a little bit. I feel like the marketing is everywhere for it, and the marketing has been very positive and very positively received for it. I don't know if I, would say the very top of that, but I kind of think like the 130, 140 is maybe a little bit more accurate, just based on now, a lot of that's going to depend on reviews and Rotten Tomatoes scores, and how are people still going out and seeing Jurassic Park? There's like a lot of other factors. Like, I would really like to see, I'm gonna want to see the reviews first, right? If those reviews come out and that Rotten Tomatoes score, we're talking like it's like a 89 or a 90 and all, like, yeah, I think you're going to see that higher level. I think people are already interested in it. They just need to be convinced to go out and take that last step and make it kind of their summer movie that they want to go see. You got a little bit of a family appeal there. It's PG-13. It's not, Deadpool and Wolverine did that as an R-rated movie, so the PG-13 really kind of helps it too. It's got a little bit more broader appeal. So yeah, I think everything's setting up well for Superman. We're just got to check in about a month and see where we're at.
When it comes to Superman, and I look at this tracking, and I can't help but think, like, this tracking doesn't really mean anything. Like, look at the variance. We're talking about between 90 million and 145 million. Like, you're giving yourself a lot of breath to be right or wrong there. And it's kind of in keeping with what we always say. Like, it's just tracking. They don't really know. And what comes to mind for me is that they really can't measure. There's an incalculable factor that is hype and enthusiasm that, yeah, you can try to track it based on online engagement and social media engagement, but you can't really. So I have seen with these projections and the uptick in marketing that you're referring to there, Jay, and James Gunn being on the horn every other day, if not every day, I have started to see some, hopes and expectations that it might make it to $1 billion. And I don't know. I just don't feel like it at this point in time. I'm thinking like around 800 million. Which would still be great. Yeah. Which would still be great for the movie. I mean, we've seen the superhero genre kind of wane in recent years. And like I said it last week, I think the Deadpools and Wolverines are going to be the exception rather than the rule. And I think, 800 million would be great for Superman and a debut for the DCU. But the word on the street is if opening weekend is less than 100 million, they're going to consider it a pretty embarrassing failure. But to address the Clayface, I feel like the R rating is kind of a no-brainer, but the unfortunate thing is it's not. There's a very real likelihood that they would have gone with a PG-13 rating. But again, to bring up Deadpool, we just saw it there. Joker was rated R. We've had a number of R-rated superhero movies and villain movies at this point in time. So in my nerdiest little heart that dreams and hopes and expects things, I'm kind of hoping that will this be kind of like a Rogue One situation where we have this R-rated Clayface film and we use it as a backdoor to an R-rated Batman just in like the final scene or just a scene or a sequence or something like that. I'd be pretty happy. They're never going to make, well, I won't say never because never say never, but the likelihood of them making an R-rated Batman movie for general audiences is not really there these days. So yeah. Well, hopefully Clayface can bring us more mature Batman.
I will say the Superman social media team is killing it.
I saw somebody crowd surfing a dog that looked like Crypto across a crowd to David Cornsweet. It was loving it. To David Cornsweet, who took it and was like holding this dog, and I was like, "How are you not going to go see this movie? Like, come on!" And then he crowd kisses it and crowd surfs it back. It was like, all right, well, we know what we're doing here. I guess I'm the target audience.
I think that leaning into the dog is like the smartest thing they could do. It's just as much as we talk about Guardians of the Galaxy being silly for having a raccoon and a tree in it. Like those. This is kind of the same thing. I mean, this is a real animal, a dog, but like raccoons are real too.
But not a raccoons.
Sorry, talking raccoon is what I meant to say.
I wish they weren't real. They get into my garbage every night. It's annoying.
Oh, no. It's a bummer. Yeah, no, I think that like James Gunn knows how to tap into that sort of cuteness factor. With like think about Baby Groot and all the in the first Guardians, you get that like glimpse of Baby Groot, and it launched 1 million toys. I think it was just before Baby Yoda even. Like it just kind of James Gunn knows how to do that in a way that captures a different audience, and I think that like we will see a lot of just iconography from this movie become popular. I think, and I think Crypto's a big part of it. And I know my partner, who doesn't care that much about superhero things, saw Crypto in the trailer and was like, "I'm in. I'm 100% there." As for Clayface, I know I've said it before, but Mike Flanagan, I really like Mike Flanagan a lot. I just recently watched his Follow the House of Usher. It was good. It wasn't as touching to me as Midnight Mass. It didn't like reach through to my own life and heart and rip me apart like that one did. But it was really, really solid. And so I'm really excited for him to just have a touch in the DC universe. I hear you, Jay Scotty, talking about a rated R Batman, but I just think they're going to go the Joker route. I think this is going to be a Clayface story. Bet there's just going to be like, here's a Clayface horror movie, and it's based on a DC property, so we're going to get those fans in the door, but it's also just going to be a fun horror movie that doesn't have to connect necessarily to anything.
Yeah.
All right, well, moving on to our next story. It was a story of highs and lows at the box office this weekend, with The Newcomer 28 years later and Pixar's Elio, unable to dethrone DreamWorks' live-action How to Train Your Dragon remake, which passed $358 million at the global box office in just 2 weeks. Although both new films bowed to their reigning champion, the narrative is far more devastating for Pixar and Elio. Despite positive critical reviews, the celebrated animation studio's latest feature struggled to muster even a meager $35 million globally, a record low and troubling sign concerning the performance or lack thereof for original Pixar films. Danny Boyle's legacy horror sequel, 28 years later, fared far better, debuting to $30 million both domestically and internationally for a $60 million total haul. Do these numbers give us any hopes, insights, and or concerns for the rest of the summer movie season?
Yeah, we talked about Elio potentially being in this situation last week before it debuted, and it's shows us that there are bigger problems when it comes to Pixar and original properties from Pixar in the theater, that the trend has continued, right? We saw the trend from movies like Luca, for example, going straight to Disney Plus, and Soul going straight to Disney Plus. We've seen other Pixar movies that are first launch, like take out Inside Out 2, take the sequels out. Movies like Elemental. What was the other one I'm forgetting?
Well, even Lightyear was kind of a spinoff, but still.
Yeah, there was another one too that I can't come up off the top of my head, but Lightyear did not do well at the box office either. And yeah, spinoff, but still, it's like it was so adjacent that it just didn't have enough Toy Story hype to kind of get people to come out and see it. And so it is a problem. And I think, like, if you're looking at it and you're saying, well, okay, this would be a good opening box office for an animated film, that is true. But the problem is that Pixar films cost a lot more than generally animated films. The estimates for Elio is that its production cost was at $150 million, and that's before marketing. So you're talking about that movie needs to make at least $300 to break even, which it will not make after this opening weekend at only $35. So even if it goes on and it continues to have people coming out and seeing it, and more, and it has that long run, kind of that Elemental type thing that happened with that particular movie, that it just had enough solid box offices that it pulled itself up to that like $500 million ish. I think it was a little short, but right in that range. You know, could Elio do that? Man, I don't know. This is a really low opening for that movie. I think families are, they're not rushing to the theater to see it opening weekend. A lot of times you see these family movies have these long, drawn-out box offices. But it's like you have to ask yourself, like, what separates Elio from other family movies that we've seen have such great box offices? And it seems to be that people who have a family unit who want to go to the theater are more willing to pay to go if it's an established property that they know their kids will like. So How to Train Your Dragon, Minecraft, the Super Mario Brothers movie, Inside Out 2, right? Like these types of movies that, your Frozens and Moanas and all these other types of movies that their kids already like it. They already like the characters, and they know that the kid's asking to go see it. They know the kid will sit there and watch the movie. Like they know they can go out and see it. Whereas if you're going to see a movie that you don't know anything about, it is kind of a wild card. And for a lot of families, it's like, let's wait on Disney Plus for that. My kid doesn't know that it's in theaters. It costs a bunch of money to take, 3-4 kids or whatever to the theater. Let's just wait. Let's let it pop on Disney Plus in August or September or whatever. We'll watch it then. And if they ever make Elio 2 and my kids go nuts for it, then we'll go see it then, right? So it's a problem. We've kind of Pixar's kind of conditioned their audience to see these movies on Disney Plus. Like Onward was the other one I was thinking of. Again, same thing. It's like, it was an original property, which I love, and I think like we all agree, like we need original properties in Hollywood. Like that's exciting, and it's great that you have, like, Pixar is a US based animation company. They don't send all of their work overseas and all. That's why their production costs are so high. But it's just like they just can't get people to come out and buy the ticket for something that is a new property. And now you're telling me their next movie is about a girl who can like transfer her consciousness to a beaver or something, and like you're telling, like, people are not going to go see that. Like it's just like they're going to wait for Disney Plus, so it is a problem. And I think we're kind of seeing it in the numbers here with this movie.
I think this isn't just a Pixar problem. I think it goes to Thunderbolts too. Like we just been talking about Thunderbolts and how the audience loved it, but it's such a different property and it didn't have, the characters don't have the name recognition, so it didn't do as well box office wise, but it was a beloved thing. So I think it will improve the performance of Doomsday. Like I think Doomsday will be markedly better box office because it includes all these characters that us fans are excited to see again, you know? And that's the thing you've got to do, but you've got to be willing to invest on the front end. And if these companies keep making really expensive movies that do poorly, they're not going to be willing to make that investment. And that's why we see so many sequels and so few original properties. So it's a bummer, and I don't know what the fix is, except for these companies, they've got to build new properties. You can't ride on the same thing forever. Everything eventually dies or you run it into the ground or whatever. So you got to put in the work on the front end to make a great first outing, even if it's not going to make money, so that you can get to the sequels where the money is.
I haven't been to the movies since Mission Impossible, so I'm all about the franchises this summer.
Yeah.
Wrong audience.
I think the analyses of the box office performance here are pretty astute and insightful, so I don't have too much more to add. But as a fan of the theatrical and cinematic experience, it does just really frustrate me because I recognize I'm in a bubble. I might not be as in touch with what casual and general audiences want, but I see the discourse online. We want original movies. We want new IP. Quit doing the same old things over and over again. But when we put something new out there, you don't go see it.
Right.
So It's like we're caught in this vicious cycle. Even I'll go back to The Fall Guy again, even though that was adapted from a TV show, nobody went to go see it. So I my heart breaks for all of the creatives involved. I did see Elio. I was a little surprised that the reception or the critical buzz was as positive as it was. I thought it was kind of meh. I thought it was kind of middle of the road. Not to yuck anybody's yum. If you loved it, I'm happy it's out there for you. I think it probably will speak to a very specific type of person, and if you had a specific type of childhood, it will probably speak to you on a very deep level there. But I did see 28 Years Later as well, and I'll just use this opportunity to provide another PSA kind of like review for you. I like the movie a lot. I would say it was close to being a masterpiece. I like 90% of the movie, but the 10% that I didn't like, I hated. I hated. I detested. So I think the B cinema score you're seeing for this one is very indicative of the specific parts of the movie that I'm talking about. But I look forward to when more people see it and I can talk about it without being so precious about spoilers. I'm really interested to see what people think about specific parts of this movie.
I feel like I need to go watch it just to hear. Without spoilers, hear your take, because that sounds interesting.
Well, they already got the sequel lined up, and the threequel is not greenlit yet, but it's out there. Yeah. So they better figure it out.
Yeah, I'm shocked at this box office. I guess it's partially Elio's is up against another kids movie, which is still dominating, and that's part of the reason. But the fact that Elio made like half of what 28 Years Later made shocks me, because those family movies normally just do so well, especially a Pixar movie, even a new property. I just don't. I expect it to do better than a niche horror movie. I feel like it feels like a much more niche thing than like a slasher or whatever, you know. At least the original. So yeah. All right. Well, that is our feature stories. When we get back from the break, we have a great lightning round lined up. The 90s Spider-Man animated series lives on via comic book. Henry Cavill and Russell Crowe are reuniting for Highlander, the Daryl Dixon Season 3 trailer, plus so much more. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Multiverse News. We have a Patreon, and I think Haley is going to tell you about it.
It's patreon.com/multiverse newscast. For just $4 a month, which is less than $1 an episode, you get ad-free episodes, you get your own polls separate from the Spotify polls, you get a cool sticker. Isn't she pretty? We just love her. And you sometimes get surprise content from us that we drop willy-nilly. And so, yeah, please go join the Patreon. We love all of our patrons so much. We appreciate everything you guys are doing for us over there. patreon.com/multiverse newscast.
I know it was quiet, but when you held up the sticker, Jay Scotty asked, "Is it sticky?" And that really got me. Jay Scotty, thank you. And the truth
it's not sticky. We don't have sticky things in my house.
It is sticky. You just got to peel it back.
Oh, true. It is
sticky. Would you cancel your Patreon subscription if we sent it to you and it was not sticky?
It was already stuck to something.
If you request it, we'll smear it in jam.
I'd be
first.
like, forget these guys. It's false advertising.
We got a patron shout out to a specific patron. Thank you so much, Tanja Kevinimi. Thank you so much, Tanja, for joining us on Patreon. We appreciate you. We talked about it on the MCU cast this week, but I don't think we've done the update here. Just so you know, the 5-star review PS5 contest that we did will be, the winner will be announced in the next week or so. We got hundreds of emails, and because we didn't have any kind of system, we're having to do that all manually. So, probably should have done the work on the front end to make that easier, but we didn't really know how to. So we're just doing it this way. So it's just going to have to go through all these hundreds of emails manually. So it'll take us a week or two to get through those. And it's already taken too long. So we'll get to it very, very soon. And we're going to turn to our Spotify poll for this week. We asked, do you want Matt Reeves' Batman to join James Gunn's DCU? I was in the middle of the night writing this question, and I was like, have we asked this before? I don't think we have. But like, it seemed like something we might have asked before. But we had 45% of you said yes, and 55% of you said no.
Oh,
yeah. So more no's than yes, and I think that's pretty fair.
I can see both sides on it. Like if you told me they're not merging, then I'm going to make the case why that's a good thing. But if you told me they're merging, like I'm going to make a case that it's the good thing with different points. Like, you know what I mean? I guess at the end of the day, I don't feel. Yeah, I was actually, but I don't. I don't feel like so strongly about it that it like. You know what I mean? Like if I heard the opposite of if I had to choose 51-49 or whatever, like if I heard that it was the opposite, I'm not going to be mad about it, I guess. Like I can see it both ways.
Which do you choose, Jay?
My initial reaction would be to say no. I think the Batman universe in and of itself seems just, I don't know if I want James Gunn's universe in it. They just don't feel like they plug together super seamlessly to me. I guess you could. So I'm trying to take that Batman and that Batman's costume and that Batman's sensibilities and put him with a James Gunn written Wonder Woman and a James Gunn written Superman. And, I just don't feel great about that on its surface. So yeah, I would probably go just, if I had to choose, I would probably go with no. I know it's complicated having two Batmans, but whatever. We can figure it out.
Yeah.
When the decision is made, we need your full reasoning. You
there we
need
go.
to drop it on the Patreon.
I'll go ahead and record 2 casts, and then we'll just release the one.
It's like those obituaries that they record ahead of time. Yeah,
it's like where they print the Super Bowl T-shirts for the winners, but both of them they only release.
Totally.
Yeah. And then send them to Africa. Learn that on the podcast.
Yeah. I've heard a podcast about that. It's so good. So good that just like people in Africa are wearing the T-shirts of the team that didn't win that says they won because they sell them, or like they got to go somewhere. You know, they ship them off. It's really kind of
That's why they call it the Mandela effect. Is that a bad joke? Sorry.
That was a great joke, Scotty.
That's a joke with a lot of layers to it. So it's like an onion joke.
Yeah, It's a good joke. It's a good joke. All right, well, let's turn to our lightning round. I'm going to say another story, and we're going to claim that story by shouting out our names, and that person is going to respond to the story, and then we are going to move on. If you cannot be silent on a story, you get 1 rebuttal per lightning round. So here we go. Marvel Comics has announced Spider-Man 94, a 4-issue limited comic run that will close the cliffhanger left by Spider-Man the Animated Series from its final episode in 1998. The series is written by longtime Spidey veteran and writer on the original animated series, J.M. DeMatteis, with art by Jim Toe.
Haley, this is smart. If people wanted an ending, they're going to get it. Or it might drive people to go watch the entire Spider-Man animated series on Disney+. So, smart move. And it's funny, they're doing this now. They did this with X-Men 97. They released some comics prior to the new animated series that were in the same universe. So it's a fun theme. I like it.
Yeah, that's cool. Russell Crowe is boarding at Amazon MGM Studios and United Artists Highlander in the Ramirez mentor role made famous by Sean Connery in the original 1986 film. He joins Henry Cavill, who's playing the lead role.
Haley, okay, Ashley made me watch Highlander. Well, she didn't make me, but she strongly encouraged me to. It's hilarious because Sean Connery is Scottish and he's playing this like Spanish person in the movie, and so now they're just like, the Spaniard. They're like following suit with Russell Crowe, the Australian, playing. It's hysterical. It's so funny, ridiculous.
That's great.
Reuniting Jor-El and Kal-El from Man of Steel, worth mentioning.
Oh yeah, good call. AMC has released a teaser trailer for Season 3 of Walking Dead spinoff Walking Dead Daryl Dixon and announced that the series will premiere on September 7th. Matt, the trailer looks cool, and it's interesting what they're doing with Walking Dead, having all these split vibes with the different series follow-ups and spinoffs, but it is very strange. I did not even realize Season 2 had aired. Like, I don't know. I tend to just get AMC for like a week to binge it because it's not one that I keep a subscription of. And so I did not even realize Season 2 had aired. And so I feel bad. I need to like go catch back up because I was enjoying Daryl Dixon. The first season's pretty good. James Bobbin, director of The Muppets, is in talks to helm Netflix's Dragon's Lair based on the classic 1980s arcade game. Per The Hollywood Reporter, Ryan Reynolds, originally set to star, but no longer, is producing alongside Roy Lee, Trevor Ingleson, and game creators Don Bluth, Gary Goldman, and John Pomeroy.
Scotty, I think we talked about this when it was very first announced, but we didn't have like any details to go off of. And what really stands out to me this time around is I didn't realize that Don Bluth was one of the creators of the games, but that makes a lot of sense. I remember seeing this game in arcades when I was growing up. There was a YMCA that we frequented a lot that had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, which got a lot of my quarters. But the other one that I was always kind of drawn to was Dragon's Lair, because it did this interesting thing with the graphics where it took like animated cells that were created via rotoscoping, so it looked like the animation of Disney or your Don Bluths, and those were your cutscenes within the game. So this, even all that being said, as far as like the plot of the game goes, I can't really remember anything other than it's kind of like a standard medieval setting. You're playing as kind of a goofy kind of knight. So, Ryan Reynolds' involvement there, this is probably going to feel very similar to something like a Free Guy, which, I could be down for that.
Yeah. Warner Brothers Pictures has released a new trailer for Weapons, written and directed by Zach Kreger, which offers more eerie footage from the film.
Scotty, this is how you do a trailer. You increase the vibes, you increase the eeriness, you set up a little bit of the story and give us an idea of who we're going to be following as far as the main character goes, with Josh Brolin's character and his motivation there. But yeah, they didn't give too much away. I think I'm starting to put some pieces together to get an idea of what they're going for here. But yeah, just coming off of Barbarian, which was Zach Kreger's previous effort there, he is just a director to keep an eye on, and I think this movie is going to be very well received when it comes out.
It's a big week for fans of Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding franchise. Death Stranding 2 On the Beach releases this week on June 26th for the PlayStation 5 exclusively. Kojima Productions also announced an animated series film, an animated feature film being written by Raised by Wolves' Aaron Guzikowski. This is in addition to the previously announced live-action Death Stranding film adaptation in development.
Scotty, didn't realize I'd be going 3 for 3. Probably should have changed up the order of this lightning round a little bit. But Death Stranding is awesome. I just happened to have recently played the first one and was really blown away by just every element of it, the story, the graphics, the gameplay, and I'm already hearing rave reviews for Death Stranding too. So it is really interesting to me that they're developing feature films side by side. One is live action, the other being animated. But what I was able to extrapolate from this announcement is that it's apparently not going to adapt any of the stories that we see in the game. It is going to tell another story set within the world. So I think the world of this game is one of the best parts. So to be able to see a little bit more of it, I think is awesome, and I look forward to it.
According to Mahershala Ali, he's waiting on Marvel when it comes to Blade. Call Marvel, Ali said at the New York premiere of Jurassic World Rebirth. The actor kept his answers brief when asked when Blade production could start. I'm ready. Let them know I'm ready.
Jay, I saw some people kind of react to this and say, oh, this is good news because it looks like he's still in. And I took this as kind of foreboding a little bit and like not as good news because we've always known he's in. It's just that he can't quite get the vision, director, script, studio alignment that you need to create a project like this. To me, this is him calling out Marvel and saying, like, Marvel's the one who pushed it on the back burner, and it's not a priority for them. And if it was the other way around, if it was something that they had cooking and he felt good about, he would say that. He would say, look, we're excited about it. We're working on it. I promise nothing's, like, I know you've heard stuff, but it's coming. Just give us some time. You'll hear stuff about it soon. And to just be like, well, just have Marvel let me know, I guess. It's not good, I think, especially for a movie that's been in production hell for so long like Blade. It's just, this is, to me, another sign that it's not going well.
Karate Kid actor and Cobra Kai star Martin Kove was asked to leave SummerCon in Puyallup, Washington on Sunday after allegedly biting co-star Alicia Hannah Kim during a VIP meet and greet, according to police. Both appeared in the Netflix series and were participating in convention events. Matt, this is such a terrifying story, both for the bitten and the bitey. Like, I can't imagine, like, because two things had to have happened. You had to misread your relationship with this person pretty hard, or you had to bite them incredibly hard, like bad enough to call the police.
The report said he drew blood. All right.
My God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's just so terrifying. Like, it's a con. Maybe alcohol was involved. I don't know. It just sounds terrible. Like, don't bite people. Like, this is third grade. This is like whatever kindergarten things you learn. Don't bite people. And especially hard enough to draw blood. And I don't know. It's just so crazy. All right.
I know in Cobra Kai they say strike first, but not bite first. But.
Yeah, you don't bite. Han bit first. What's this character's name in the show? Anybody know? Doesn't happen to rhyme with Han, does it?
I can't remember off the top of my head, yeah. Sensei. Bow to your sensei.
Kalina Liang, star of Steven Soderbergh's thriller Presence, will play Chun-Li in Legendary's live-action Street Fighter movie based on the Capcom video game, sources tell Deadline.
Scotty, when it comes to fighting games, I'm a little bit more of a like Smash Brothers or Soul Calibur kind of gamer. But I have played a few of the Street Fighters, and I know they remain to be incredibly popular games. I think Street Fighter 6 came out most recently, so it's still going strong. But I do look at the actor that they've cast here, Kalina Liang, and I did see Presence, and I definitely thought that she gave a great performance, especially for a young performer. That movie was anchored on her performance in a lot of ways, and she went toe-to-toe with Lucy Liu. So, but looking at the character of Chun-Li, even though I don't have the fondness for that 1990s movie that some people do, I have to look back to the person that played Chun-Li in that movie, and that was Ming-Na Wen, who went on to do great things in our geeky sphere here. So hopefully this is the start of great things for Kalina Liang here.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all our stories for tonight. I guess we got 5 minutes till Ironheart. So let's go around and tell people where they can find us online. J. Scotty St. Clair.
Not too much to plug as far as other podcasts go, but support all the shows on the Stranded Panda Podcast Network. Leave them a review if you haven't, and let's chime in on the debate. Who would win in the 100 men versus the gorilla argument? That's it's a dated internet debate at this point.
I'm like, that was so 3 weeks ago, Scotty.
Yeah. Okay.
We're crunched for time, and you bring up a 3 week ago debate, J. Scotty? Come on.
You gave me 5 minutes.
Not just you.
Not just you. Everybody has 5 minutes. Kate Sisson.
I want you to know that I'm biting my tongue so hard not to like make it a whole debate. I'm just gonna say go subscribe to Commute the Podcast, and I'm gonna close the door before I start talking about the gorilla debate.
Did you guys talk about it? I should have figured you guys would talk about it there.
Oh no, I haven't on that show.
Okay,
I just in general, have thoughts. I'm already getting there. Haley, take it away.
It sounds like you two need to go do a tangent talk for Patreon on the gorilla thing.
You'd log into Patreon, you'd be like, why is this tangent talk 1 hour and 48 minutes?
Give the people what they want. Oh, God. As for me, Source Pages is back. We had a little brief hiatus for some summer vacays, and we did our Ironheart primer on The Hood, and then Ashley and I are about to be all over Always Watching. We're continuing our Outlander rewatch series, and we are going to cover The Sandman Season 2.
Awesome. And check me out at the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. We are starting our coverage of Ironheart in an hour from now. I'm going to go watch it. We now have 3 minutes till Ironheart drops. So I'm going to go get on that. And so check out that Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast feed. We're going to be doing every episode throughout the week. So it's going to be fun. And we'll be back here on Multiverse News soon. Peace.
You stay classy, Multiverse.
Hey, thanks for listening to Multiverse News, or watching it, or whatever you're doing, eyeballs or ear holes, whichever thing. We do this show every week, and we appreciate you listening. StrandedPanda.com is where you can find all of our podcasts, and thank you for listening. Check us out wherever you get podcasts. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the little bell icon, whatever you have on whatever service you're doing. Rate us, like us. We're really thirsty. That's what I'm saying.